Now, officially, Paul.
I'm picturing you all in your underwear. So I just left the station when dispatch gave me my first call for the night. They said, an apparent suicide at City Park. So I rolled up to City Park, and on the way I heard William 142 say that he was going to respond to back me. On a suicide, you never know what's going on. And William 142 is a guy named Courtney Winty, who, among other things, was at one time my training officer, mentor, and for a guy who was the oldest of 4 boys, my big brother. We arrived at the park, and it didn't take very long with our spotlights in the dark to see the body hanging from the tree. It was very sad and very eerie because there was a slight breeze, and the body was just swinging back and forth in that tree. While we stood there, I tried to figure out how that guy had gotten up in that tree to where he was. And he was like 25 feet high up in this tree. And now we started thinking how we're going to get him down. Now when Courtney, this guy had been FBI Academy, had been everywhere, done everything, been a cop for about 14 years by now, also said, you know what, maybe he didn't get up there by himself, tape the area off. We may not have a suicide, we may have a homicide. So we couldn't figure out any other way to get him down, so we called the fire department and had them bring their hook and ladder out so they could get up there and bring the body down. The idea was they'd get the ladder up, they'd put the body in a harness and bring him back down. So by now, everybody who didn't have a call was in the park watching what was going on. And the ladder went up, and the fireman went up, and when he got to the top, he looked for a couple seconds, took out his knife, cut the rope, and watched the body fall. And we're running over to the body, and we're yelling at the fireman, like, what are you doing? And we got near the body, and we looked closer, and I'm not kidding you. Standing right next to the body, we're looking down, still not 100% sure until I kicked it and realized it wasn't real. So Courtney looks, he says, so what we have here is a prank by somebody who's very artistic because this thing looks real. So he picks it up, throws it in the back of his car, and tells everybody to get back to work. So we take off. Before I leave the park, I get my second call of the night. Call to My Place Bar, where there's going to be a disturbance that hasn't happened yet, according to the bar manager. So I roll down there, and sure enough, Courtney's got my back, and he rolls over there with me. Walk into the bar, talk to the manager, find out there's this guy from out of town who's bragging to everybody because he's had a couple drinks about how he just got his black belt in karate. We start calling him the Karate Kid. And he was bragging to everybody about how he could clear the entire bar out. What he did not realize is he was in a bar filled with a biker gang known as the Vagos, and he was sitting right next to their vice president, who was getting a headache listening to him talk. So the bartender said, you know, this guy, he's not doing really anything wrong, but if he stays here much longer, I'm afraid something's going to happen to him. So I asked the guy to step outside. We talked a little bit, and I said, you know, you've had a couple drinks. I think what I'd like to do is have you come back to the station, have some coffee, sit there for a while, and then we'll bring you back to your car and you can go on your way. And he says, well, I haven't done anything wrong and I can take care of myself. I'm a black belt in karate. And I said, let me explain to you how this works. You see that guy over there? His name is Danny. He's the vice president of this chapter of this bike gang. If I leave and you continue to irritate him, you're going to end up in an alley all broken up in little pieces. This is not television, okay? So he looked around, and Danny's standing over there going, that's right, Merrick. If you leave that guy here, he ain't going to last. He says, what about my car? I looked over to Danny and said, are we good? He goes, I promise you, if you make him leave, his car will be fine. So we took him back to the station. Courtney says, I'll throw him in my car and drive him up. No problem. Guy gets in the car. He's sitting down. He's all excited. He's in a police car. So what kind of radio was that? Oh, is that the shotgun? Oh, yeah. And he turns sideways, and he sees this dummy in the back seat. And he starts to scream. He goes, what happened to that guy? What does Courtney say? It was just a little bit of vandalism at the park, no big deal. Vandalism? That's what you do to a guy that commits vandalism? He goes, I don't want to go to the station. He goes, you have no choice. You've been drinking. We got to get you sober. He goes, I'm sober. Just take me back to my car. He says, no, we're going to go to the station. So we take him back to the station. We drop him off. We get him a couple cups of coffee, and we go back to work. Come back a couple hours later, and we tell him, all right, we're going to drive you back to your car. So I start walking him out to the back of the police station to get him in my car. There's Courtney trying to shove the dummy in a dumpster. And the guy goes, what are you doing? And I go, I thought you were going to keep that. You said it looked real. He goes, no, I kept the head, and he pulled it out of a bag. And that guy started running down the street back to his car, never to be seen from again. Thank you very much. Happy Halloween.